So, on the search to find out why Trump keeps on saying Governor of Canada and all of this stuff that everybody's saying is a big old joke, has actually been quite a scary rabbit trail that I've gone into. I ran into this one video from 11 years ago, which is really interesting because it's, I'll put it right here and you can watch it for a little bit.
In 2005, an arrangement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States was made. This arrangement, unannounced to the public, unregulated by Congress, merges the United States, Mexico, and Canada into one entity, erasing all borders. It's called the North American Union. You might want to ask yourself why you've never heard of this. In fact, there is only one mainstream reporter who's actually heard of and has had the courage to cover this issue.
The Bush administration's open borders policy and its decision to ignore the enforcement of this country's immigration laws is part of a broader agenda. President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it, and he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
It's a deal that few have even heard of.
It's being done again by very few people at the very top on behalf of the investment class, but the working class of people, political officials across our country from communities, from cities and so forth, they don't know anything about this.
This isn't some trade agreement. It is a total removal of sovereignty from these countries, which will also result in a completely new currency called the Amero.
Fall. Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about that I think is going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. The Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community much like the EU, and the dollar, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso replaced by the Amero.
By default of this agreement, the American Constitution will eventually be obsolete. You would think that a situation like this would be on the cover of every major newspaper. That is until you realize that the people who are behind this movement are the same people behind the mainstream media, and you are not told what you're not supposed to know. The North American Union is the same concept as the European Union, the African Union, and the soon-to-be Asian Union, and the same people are behind all of them. And when the time is right, the North American Union, the European Union, the African Union, and the Asian Union will be merged together, forming the final stages of a plan these men have been working on for over 60 years. A one-world government. One bank, one army, one center of power. And if we have learned anything from history, it is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
I got a call one day from an attorney woman I knew, and she said, "Would you like to meet one of the Rockefellers?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to." And we became friends, and he began to divulge a lot of things to me. So he said to me one night, he said that there's going to be an event there, and out of that event, you're going to see, we're going to go into Afghanistan, so we can run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We're going to go into Iraq to take the oil and establish a base in the Middle East, and we're going to go into Venezuela and try and get rid of Chavez. And the first two they've accomplished. Chavez they didn't accomplish. And he said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for looking for people that they're never going to find. You know, he was laughing about the fact that you have this war on terror. There's no real enemy. He's talking about how by having this war on terror, you can never win it because it's an eternal war. And so you can always keep taking people's liberties away. And I said, how are you going to convince people that this war is real? He said, but the media. The media can convince everybody it's real. I mean, you know, it's just that you keep talking about things. You keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it. You know, you created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11, which is another lie. Through 9/11, you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie, and now they're going to do Iran. You know, and it's all one thing leading to another, leading to another, leading to another. Now, I would say, what are you doing this for? What's the point of this thing? You have all the money in the world you ever want. You have all the power. I said, you know, you're hurting people. It's not a good thing. And he would say, what do you care about the people for? Take care of yourself and you take care of your family. And then I said to him, what are the ultimate goals here? He said, the ultimate goal is to get everybody in this world chipped with the RFID chip. And have all money be on those chips and everything on those chips. And if anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off their chip.
That's right, microchipped.
So what did you think about that? Like I said, you know, go and take a look at that channel because nothing has been put in there. It's 9 years old, the last time anything has been put on that channel, and it goes into a lot of that stuff. I know I looked into that before, but you know, your mind gets wandered because there's been so many rabbit trails to go down that I forgot about, you know, the one world government and the whole thing when you think about it. And then I started looking into, or somebody put in my feed about XRP, which I actually have some that I bought about 6 years ago, and they did nothing. So I've got a bit of shares sitting there in XRP, and you know, just like I think 190, nothing that's going to make me rich or anything. But it has gone up significantly, and they're talking about it going to 10. And then I went down the rabbit trail that XRP is going to be the new American, Canadian, Mexican, like the international trade.
Suddenly going to be, literally in the next 24 to 48 hours, XRP is suddenly going to be priced at $317.80. And this is all going to be because both JP Morgan and BlackRock, along with SWIFT, have all agreed to officially begin transacting using XRP on January 3rd, which is less than 48 hours away. On top of this, the ISO 222 messaging system, backed by central banks globally, is also supposed to go live on that date. All of this injecting over $20 trillion directly into the XRP ledger and likely all into XRP. And as that gets mentioned, we get more and more institutions agreeing that they will use XRP for payments and partnering with Ripple. One of the most recent ones, the Bank of America, which enters an agreement with Ripple Labs to use XRP for payments. Now, let's not forget that XRP was literally trading at and literally priced at, confirmed, in South Korea at $50.17 USD. And this got confirmed.
The standard digital is going to be XRP. So, yeah, and then I started looking into how everything has been changed to the X, right? We've got the X, that's our new news, right? Now, they're talking about he's going to buy NBC and CBC and all of these different broadcast systems that he's talking about buying, because like really all of them are like bankrupt right now and they're up for buying. I mean, like we think that we own our land, that we have our land, but Canada's up for buying because it's bankrupt. The United States was bankrupt as well. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? And since these are all corporations, they're up for buying. And then in that video talking about the America trade agreement, like how they started it, and remember that was 11 years ago. And then it talked about how we were all be surveilled. It goes on to the chip in that video. But of course we know that was 11 years ago, thinking, it's not the chip now. We know what happened, right? We already know what happened. And that a lot of people were magnetized in the beginning. Remember when they used to walk into places and everything would beep off and everything after they had their first and second? And people were showing that they, you know, things that would stay on them, like spoons and stuff. Like, okay, so there was something that they said that had a nanotechnology that was self-replicating that was put into people. So who knows? This was something that we saw in the beginning, right? So it is getting spooky about this whole United States already owns Canada and Mexico and Australia and New Zealand. And